In my head, I was just confirming to myself that everything is happening to relegate me to the background. Why did you even come in the first place? So I took off my shoes, and then one of the lights came on in one side of the room, and they said, climb the scale. And I climbed the scale. It was a weighing balance. They wanted to know my weight. I took my weight, put on my shoes back, and the light came up amidst a lot of laughing. Everybody in the room said, "You are scared, right?" And I said, "I'm beyond scared. I feel like disappearing." And they said, "Okay, don't worry, come and sit." And it so happened, my plan was to tell them in that interview that I'm not a cabin crew. I don't want to be a cabin crew. I applied for this job because the flying job requires a lot of safety, and I want to come and do safety within the organization. So even though I applied for the job, I had the credentials for the job. I wanted to change the narrative at that interview, but I forgot everything I had planned to say. So I sat there just wondering, and when the man asked, "Why do you want to fly?" the only thing I remembered myself saying was, "Well, I like to fly because the last flight I had, I saw the jobs the cabin crew did, I liked it, that's why I applied." Luckily for me, the man took my credentials and said, "You have up to 7 safety certificates here. Why are you?" I said, "Yes, because I mean, flying is safety, so that's why." And he asked me, "Would you like to work for us as a safety professional?" And I said yes. So the man helped me ask the question that was in my mind. So gradually I found myself, and then they asked me to do hazard identification around the interview room, which I did. And then the following day I got the job. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult in our time to find career clarity, especially when a lot of things are competing. When your parents are saying you are now 35 or your mates have gotten married, when they are saying you finish graduating and you are supposed to be training your younger ones too, when a lot of stories are coming up, with that competition is difficult. But what should we do? Passion. Follow passion. Even when the salary is not much, follow your passion. Now there's a book I'm writing. It's titled Firing from All Cylinders. And one of the things that that book wants to say is that you follow passion even when it seems like you can't see further. Follow your passion. It will always lead you where you must go. So the next thing is comprehending personal value. What is your value as an individual? These days, one of the hurdles of professionalism is that people don't understand their value. They just follow what is trending. A lot of people only follow what is trending. My personal value this year, very strongly, and which has always been, is to try and be as approachable as possible. And make it very deliberately to always be as approachable as possible, even if it makes me behave like a madman sometimes. So we all have to have values for which we want to be known and continue to improve them. So another next slide, another hurdle is establishing valuable connections. It's very, very important to establish valuable connections, but that is always a challenge these days because a lot of people are so busy at work, they don't find time to come out. And that is another reason why I thank Waliu for this event, because one of the easiest ways you can establish valuable connections is by networking in events like this, is by joining a professional association. And I'll urge all of us here to go and join a professional association. There are so many. We will see it towards the end of my slides. Join some, take active part there, make some contributions. So establishing valuable connections. Next slide, leading with inquiry. Let us not just follow blindly. Do followership by leading. The best way to follow by leading is that when you are working under a leader, you look out for that leader. Look out for him. You do upward leadership. Look out for him. See what can affect his ability to lead, and discuss with him, and check up on him when he's not doing optimally. Help him to be optimal as a leader. When you are looking for ways to help him to be optimal as a leader, you will be growing yourself on how to become a good leader when it's your time. And even at that time, you are already leading, only you are leading upwards. So it's very, very important to lead by inquiry. Always ask questions. First of all, ask inward. If I was the one in his shoes, what will I do? Then think outward. How can I help? And then think forward. What is the way ahead for us as a people with him as our leader? It's very, very key. Next slide, another hurdle is communicating what is okay and what is not okay. I think Dr. said a lot about shadowing, and sometimes you work under leaders and you don't want to tell them what is okay or what is not okay. This is a hurdle to professionalism because things will not be okay and people will swallow them and shake their head. Is it okay? Yes, we move. It's a very, very strong professional attitude when you are able to stand up and say, in the most politest of ways, say, this is not right. I believe we can do it like this, we can do it like this. Any forward looking and modern leader will understand that and value you, even if it seems like there's conflict at some point. Another hurdle to professionalism, next slide, is overcoming distraction. There is a lot of distraction, and I'm sure you all agree, in the professional space these days. You are competing between Facebook, between trending on Facebook, snapping with the biggest car, snapping with the best of all things. I saw that a friend posted on Facebook. I was director of a particular firm, and I called him to congratulate him in my very innocent um, way. And when I congratulated him, he said, "Ah, boy, why are you talking as if you are not, you don't know what is invoked?" I said, "How? I saw that you have a new role, and I'm congratulating you." And he said, "No, that's social media now. You have to hype yourself." I'm and I said, "Oh boy, I never knew you to be this kind of person. Or what's going on with you?" And he told me, "Well, he's ruling with the times." We have to avoid ruling with the times. You have to avoid it. Unfortunately, it's easier to flow with the current. But if you are a professional, you have to understand that to be able to move up in professionalism, you must avoid flowing with the ills of the time. So there are distractions that are caused by our body. Your body wants all the best things in this world. But Socrates said, "Man, know thyself. For an unexamined life is not worth living." And he added that an examined life is lived only when reasoning organizes the appetite. So what your body is calling you to is a conference of the appetites. But what you must do is take leadership and lead your body. If you attend the conference of the appetite, when you wake up in the evening, because you'll be sleeping through the day, when you wake up in the evening, you will be shocked where others have gotten to. So please don't attend the conference of the appetite. And then distractions of the mind. Many times we allow so many things to becloud our minds. We are the ones teaching people the 5 types of hazards. And we always talk about psychosocial hazards. Distractions of the minds are hazards, they are psychosocial hazards. So you have to own your mind, sit with it, sit with a problem for long, think around it, modify it, play with it, and come up with something fantastic. Unfortunately, sometimes it's difficult to do that when your mind is the mind that is facing the distraction. So what you can do in the evening when you have finished every day, take some alone time, go back into yourself, see what was very good for the day and praise yourself for it, and what was terrible, tell yourself the truth that this one wasn't good, and make deliberate attempts to improve it the following day. You know, one thing that will make your mind happy is when you have a lot of good things to be happy for. So environmental distractions are there, we know them. Depending on what your values are, you'll be distracted by so many things in the environment. And then, of course, digital distractions, phones, iPads. There was a time I wanted to change the tab that I had, and I was confused between which of the tabs was best. I suffered in that confusion until I decided I wasn't buying a tab in the first place. I have a phone, I have a laptop, it's okay. So sometimes digital distractions between which device is to be used, between which reel on Facebook to watch and which one not to watch, between which what to post on LinkedIn and what not to post, can be a very, you can spend a large chunk of professional time just lazying around on those devices without really solving any problem. Now, next slide, I want to talk about understanding that time is money. This is a big professional hurdle in the 21st century because a lot of us do not understand that time is money. We have about 720 hours in a year, about roughly about that. No, in a month, sorry. In a month, we have about 720 hours. That's 30 times 24, yeah. 720 hours. And if you look at those hours, and let's say your salary is 1 million naira, and you divide that 1 million by 720, you already know how much you are taking for each of the hours. So that means that if you spend one of those hours with somebody, you have actually contributed that amount of money to the person. If you start timing yourself from that perspective, you will understand how much you spend if you go to an event and sit for 5 hours. That means that that amount of money has been invested. If you continue to think like that, you will understand what it is. If you take your mentor's time for 3 hours and you are discussing and you are not able to finish, whatever he says is not satisfying you, and you are saying more things, you are saying you want him to solve more problems. Oh, he's not spending enough time with me. If you look at life from the fact that time is money, you will understand that the person is actually making a huge investment in spending that amount of time with you. So when people come to an event that they don't give you physical gifts, appreciate the fact that they have invested that time, because the truth of the matter is that that time is money, could have been used for something else. Next slide. Another hurdle is refusing to delegate. A lot of people are not able to trust their subordinates or people around them enough to be able to delegate certain duties to them. Now, that refusal to delegate is a hurdle that needs to be crossed by both the leader and those that are being led. The leaders need to learn to trust, to build people they can trust, while those that are being led need to learn to make themselves trustworthy enough such that if you are given an assignment, you do it and leave a mark of excellence by which you are known, so that next time your leader thinks of the last thing you did, even the things you shouldn't see, which is what you actually need to become a senior manager, he will bring them to you to do, because in your latest delivery, you have demonstrated outstanding excellence, because there is no discrimination against excellence. So that is very, very, very key. And I'm rushing through the hurdles because I don't want to spend a lot of time on the hurdles. I want to spend time on the relevant skills that we need to build back better. So the next one is creating trust between senior management and employees. And to create that trust, you need to have a lot of team self-efficacy. You know, I mean, when people build confidence, I was asked a question somewhere, and in answering it, I said the best way to solve quarrels between professional people in a professional environment, between leaders and the led, the best way, number one, is to be competent. When you are competent and a problem comes up, we need solutions, they will just call on you and you just provide it. So that's one. The next other way to be competent is to be seen always trying to improve. When you are seen always trying to improve, it solves a lot of problems. If you are asked questions and you don't know, we have consolations that by this problem that has come, you will begin to know. Why? Because you are a person who takes challenges and makes sure they are solved. And I hate to talk about myself, but when I was in my second year in the university, I had a problem. I had an emotional problem. All of a sudden, I developed stage fright. My stage fright was not that I would appear on stage and begin to stammer or stutter. My stage fright was that I will avoid any opportunity to climb a stage. It was chronic. It was so bad that before that time I had already invested myself in student unionism. In my church, I was the PRO of the entire school choir. So that by the time this thing started, it was a big problem because they will always announce my name, and if I know my name will be announced, I'm out of the door. So it was so bad that one evening I cried, sitting alone. I was just crying. I was like, so where did all of this come from? And I told myself, I'm going to spend the next 3 months of my life refusing to appear anywhere in public. I just attend my classes and come back to the room. And during this period, I was reading a lot about how to overcome stage fright. I read so much that the information became so much. I published 2 books within that period. So the best way to solve hurdles is to become so good at solving it that you have enough information to become an expert in the field of solving that hurdle. So in creating trust between senior management and the led, the best way is develop competence. Why? Because there's no discrimination against excellence. Whatever you do, wherever you are, no matter how hated you are, when you begin to demonstrate excellence, they will leave those they've been rolling with and look for you when it is most needed to come and provide it. And that is where you get your own promotion from. So it's very, very key that we look for it. On our next slide is dealing with another hurdle is dealing with millennials and Gen Zs. This set of people are opinionated, they know what they want, they are fast, they are swift, they are not fast, they are swift. 79% of them, they have passion for a cause and they want to drive it to where you can see it. You can see Waliu now. If you go and if you temper with his health and safety and where he's taking this advocacy to, it can brush you off the path because his passion is like a moving train. You can't stand. If you stand on the way, you lose your life. So that is how Gen Zs are, the millennials are. 56% of them like to meet people, are always outgoing. They want to share and build professional skills. So leaders of millennials and Gen Zs have to wake up to the times. There was a time I was in an institute. I was lecturing, and one of the leaders came and complained in one of the meetings I was attending that their chairman has allowed youth corpers who have no pedigree to begin to lecture people in the institute. At that time, I was already married. I had already spent like 5 to 6 years as a member of the institute. And the man said these youth corpers, they're allowing to come and lecture here. They said so many terrible things. And I just suspected because he argued with me. He met me in a class, called me out, and was asking me who sent me to come here and all of that. So I knew that it was me he was referring to. And I got up in that meeting and I said, I beg to differ. Immediately I said, I beg to differ. The chairman said, please, Julius, I beg you, just sit down. And he said, why? I said, why? I didn't like it. I walked out of the meeting. And he went and called me back and said, I want you to sit down because you are going to say something that will cause problems for us. I know that you are right. And so dealing with millennials is a big challenge because a lot of our leaders don't understand it. They just see the rest of the people as children who should respect their elders and not talk too much where the elders are seated, as we are brought up from great grand village. But where we are now, people grow by testing the narratives. People grow by disrupting existing narratives. And there's no way backward. If you look back on this matter, there's no space. So it's important that we learn to move forward because millennials deserve a right to life, even if they have come with a fast-paced attitude. However, we all have to learn to manage stress, which is the next hurdle. The next slide, we have to learn to manage stress. We have to learn to slow down once in a while, go back into ourselves, and keep calm when it is when the waves are most disturbing. We have to learn to be positive. We have to learn to take life easy. Sometimes my CEO told me last December, he called me, I was on leave, and said, Julius, I want you to unplug. Don't think about work this December. Just unplug. Don't reply any email. Abandon the whole thing and just for the whole day, don't In fact, take one of your kids out, sit out all day, and don't think about work. I don't want to say the other part of the story because he was the same person that called me in the evening of the same day. However, it is important it is important that we make deliberate efforts to unplug once in a while from work. Don't think about it. Blank it out. Rest. The advantage of that rest is that they say we have 12 billion storage cells. The advantage of that rest is that you recreate new ones and you are rejuvenated and we get back to where we are. So enjoy life once in a while, and there should be a portion of your salary every month that is meant for you to enjoy life. And enjoyment differs. I know that people are laughing because we just finished paying school fees in January. But take some portion of your pay and enjoy life. Just, I mean, even if it means everybody has what is enjoyment for them. For some, it might just be drinking a bottle of cool water with some friends. For some, it might just be calling someone you love. For some, it might just be sitting in Sheraton with a group of old schoolmates to eat some barbecue. Whatever it is, just take up a portion of your pay that is called the pleasure quotient and enjoy life. Why? Because the space of stress that has been used to make all of that money needs to be replenished. Very, very key. Have some fun. Go to the beach if that's what makes you happy. Sit around for a while, appreciate nature. Travel to places. Go to Obudu Ranch, advertising my place. Go and enjoy yourself. Look around. There are fine places in Ekiti. I just found out recently. You don't have to be going abroad first before you are enjoying life. And then let me speak to the abroad goers. Go for summer. Enjoy yourself. Take some time to breathe deeply. I'm a mental first, a mental aid. I'm a mental first aider, so I know that breathing is very serious exercise for the brain. Deep breathing, breathing from the stomach, is very serious exercise for to improve our brain function. Remove your shoes, put your legs on the bare floor, and breathe deeply. Close your eyes and forget about everything else. Breathe in and out for like 5 times. By the time you are done with that exercise, you are a newborn baby, especially if you do it well. Feel the energy flowing from the leg to the sole of your feet to all parts of your body into the brain and back. Don't touch anything else. Let your hands be on top of your knee so that the only interaction you have is between the ground and your body. That is a lot of exercise, and it has so much to do to brain function. When you are done with that, it will most probably make you sleep. Sleep, relax, and go outside and take some fresh air, meditate, and you'll be fine. So on my next slide, there is some mathematical equation there. It says hurdles plus training and patience will lead us to success. The hurdles that we have discussed in that very quick succession, if we combine them with a lot of good training and patience, it is definite. It's not possible, and it's not been seen all over the world that anybody combined these things and was still caught by the forces or even the spiritual forces in villages. Is not enough to stop you from being successful when you combine patience and it will always one person who always believes that God's time is the best because nothing has changed since that statement was made. God's time is still the best. However, when God's time comes and you don't have what it takes to manifest in that time, so if God's time for you to become a manager has come and you don't have the requisite competencies to be a manager because you were busy waiting for God's time without going through the hurdles and the trainings, then you ignorantly waited. So the time has come and you are not prepared. So we should not wait ignorantly. That's why we'll talk about relevant hard skills and relevant soft skills. So the hard skills are identifying hidden hazards. So there are two types of safety professionals. There are those who will walk through a workplace and not recognize the hazards that exist there. These ones, if you have them in your team, whenever you send them on hazard identification journey, be ready to do the trip after they are done. Because they will finish and come back and the hazards will exist. But the effective ones are those who recognize not just surface hazards, but the hidden hazards within that workplace. These are hard skills that safety professionals must acquire. Verbal hazard communication skills, ability to train and pass knowledge. Visual hazard communication, convincing presentations, providing training. Safety professionals should be able to have these relevant hard skills. Next slide is a continuation of hard skills, talking about budgeting. We must learn budgeting skills, especially as safety officers, because you need them very seriously as safety managers. For you to become a safety manager, you have to be able to budget for the whole year. Know the items you do within the year which require expenditure, and learn how to have that hard skill of budgeting for it. And then knowledge of regulatory organizations, you should know them, because safety is also very strongly legally based. Then how to pass safety inspections when you have auditors coming in. Learn how to interact with auditors. A lot of safety professionals see auditing as a big deal. We shouldn't see auditing as a fight, as an inquiry that will put us in jail. When auditors come, we should thank them for coming and praise them and tell them that you hope that you are particularly excited to have them, because you know that by the time they are leaving, the organization will be better than it was when they came. That's what we should do. That is what is professional. And then we should gather and interpret data is a hard skill that we must have. And then they need to be accountable. Any organization that cannot gather and present reliable data, reliable safety data, is hardly doing safety, because you don't know what to improve upon. Genuinely, you don't know the size of your problem. You don't know how to put the size together and improve it. So it's essential that we know how to be accountable, gather and present reliable and relevant data. And then on the next slide, soft skills. Soft skill, and I always say the most important qualification of every safety man is the passion for health and safety. That thing that keeps you awake at night, thinking of how to improve initiatives with health and safety. That is the passion to see people come and go every day alive. If you don't have it, you are just looking for salary. So other soft skills, self-leadership. These days, I hardly make any presentation without mentioning self-leadership, because you can't lead a fly if you can't lead yourself. The ability to overcome your own tendencies, the ability to overcome how you feel about somebody and how you allow how you feel about somebody to affect your relationship with that person, the ability to utilize emotional intelligence to manage chaos between people. You cannot be saying that you are so passionate about people and yet you are not able to have a good relationship with those people, because two of you are fighting on how to make the workplace safe. The person is refusing to allow you stay safe. He's refusing to do what you have said you should do, so two of you are fighting. There's nothing like that. So you should lead yourself. So find out when the person boils and gets angry and two of you have maybe boiled together and gotten to boiling point, you must be the one to lead the journey back to the normal temperature where two of you can now reason together. Why? Because your reasoning is beyond an ego that is trying to say, I'm safety, so you must obey me. Your reasoning is trying to save life. So we must all learn to be tech savvy. Being tech savvy is the best way to be in the current world, because you can't pass information to people now for them to understand without being able to manipulate it on tech. I mean, let me use this time to praise myself. When I came here and noticed the way this hall was set, I transferred my presentation to my phone and I've been making it from the phone. So if I was not slightly tech savvy, I won't be able to do that. You can now clap for me. All right, so we must try and learn to be tech savvy. It helps you when you are making presentations, when you are delivering reports to senior management, so many ways. So and there's nothing wrong with not knowing it now, but there's everything wrong with remaining the same in the next 2 weeks when you've not started any journey to become better at tech management. So we must now have the ability, after leading ourselves and making ourselves competent, we must now have the ability to lead people. It's not easy to lead people. You will be so strong and you think you are so strong until you see somebody whose hidden name is problem. And then he comes to you and he makes sure that he does his best to defeat every intelligence that you have and give you a problem that will make you scream. So we must always learn to manage people, manage them with personal value. That's why whatever value you develop for yourself, whatever value we develop for ourselves, is very, very important to making us the right kind of professionals that we should become. Teamwork and collaboration is not possible if we are not able to reside with. There are some people who don't know how to relate with other people. They just feel that everybody is wrong. They are the only ones that know what should be happening around here. If you are that kind of person, you are living in the wrong environment. You should be in an island in the middle of a sea, nowhere, where you are alone, and nobody else can see you. And then we should learn communication. I'm very happy to say here that I'm one of those people who had the worst communication problems. I should say maybe I'm still an introvert, but I was a very terrible introvert. I was very terrible at it that talking, I used to feel lazy to talk. So even if there are things that I know and I want to talk about, I just ask myself, well, what's the point, self? It's a lot of trouble. And I don't say it. So I had my younger brother that was my spokesman everywhere we go. So if anything has to do with talking, he will just, this is what he's asking you now. Why did you do it? Then if it's very terrible, I will now add my voice. Yes, why did you do it? So, but somebody told me that, see, Julius, one day you will stay in your chemical lab, and one area boy will become a governor, and he will make a law that all labs in the state should be closed down. And you cannot say anything because you are an introvert chemist. You don't want disturbance. You want to burn your chemicals and smell them and stay in the lab alone. And that statement just went into my head. That evening, I couldn't sleep. I said, how do we do this thing? I went back to a book that I wrote myself and started reading it. And then I started following on YouTube all the works of Martin Luther King. And then how he was addressing all the mass gatherings in Alabama, all those different things he did to bring people out. Even till now, I can still recite some of the things he said because of how crazily I followed those things. And then gradually, I started looking for opportunities to speak. I'll be begging people, are you organizing an event? Just give me 2 minutes. Gradually, I became an MC, doing a very bad job at it until I got a lot of opportunities. By God's grace, I think I've improved now. But the truth of the matter is we need those skills to advance our role in the professional safety world as professional safety people. If things must change in Nigeria, whoever wins the next election, safety people need to go to the Senate and go to the House of Reps, not to become members necessarily, but to make presentations and say, look, enough is enough. Our safety culture as a country is terrible. We need the most eloquent of us to do it. And they are already born, they are sitting here. So they must get ready for this job. Because our professionalism doesn't speak anything if our country remains the way it is. That's why I can't even blame anybody that has jackpot, because it is only what you have seen that you know, right? And what we have seen is that we have a terrible safety culture that is refusing to change. But thank you, Waliu, for starting 2023 with setting the pace. We all have to begin to set the narrative for these things to change. Nothing different will happen by December if we all continue as we have been doing it, fighting ISPON fights, fighting professional fights, dislodging this one and relodging that one. We have to look beyond small fights and start thinking of bigger professional gains that the country needs us to do. Otherwise, what's the point of being a safety professional in Nigeria? Other soft skills which are seriously lacking, in my opinion, one of the most serious is integrity. My next slide: integrity, adaptability, that is resilience, ability to communicate properly and manage time, and negotiation. We need to have negotiation skills because we will need them. I want to start working with Wali on a project, on a street safety project. We are going to go to streets and start preaching safety the way the preachers do, because they are motivated by something in their spirit to make people give their life to Christ and repent. It is the passion with which they are pushed that is bringing them as far as the street. Otherwise, they could have done it in churches. So if the safety passion is so high, it should push us out of the companies where we are working and out of halls like this and into parts of the street to make sure that things happen and happen good. Otherwise, nothing changes the culture. And then next slide, there are also courses and professional bodies that we can latch onto for those of us that are just joining health and safety afresh. There is the Institute of Safety Professionals of Nigeria. It can become your professional foundation. There is the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, IOSH. We have a lot of their leaders here. IOSH has developed a blueprint, a lot of training platforms, so many different things happening to improve professionals. There's even a train the trainer, a lot of things. There's NIBOSH, there's CIEH, there's auditing you can do for the 5,001, 9,001, and 14,001 and become a better auditor. There's Bossier, there's Hewitt. There are a lot of things we all can join and improve our professional life. There are legislations to follow. They are all on the slide. I think those will be shared with us. And then there are standards and conventions. Long and short of it, I'm on my last slide now. Long and short of it, ladies and gentlemen, professional colleagues, long and short of it is that this is a new year. And my most serious cry, especially for my friends on LinkedIn, I wrote it there from the beginning of this year. I have worked for 17 years. 17 years is, as in this is my years in safety, not my total work experience. Before safety, I've been a chemist. I've been manufacturing drugs, and I've liked it so much. But in safety, I've invested 17 years. Within those 17 years, I'm ashamed of myself that safety culture in Nigeria has not changed much. So I share the collective shame of all of us here, whether yours is 35 years or 20 or 30 or 5 or 2. We are collectively ashamed, and I am on our behalf, that we are here and the safety culture in Nigeria, just like it was our foundational culture as a people, has remained only slightly changed. So we have to overcome all the hurdles and please change our professional landscape. Otherwise, what is the point of being here? We should all jackpot. After all, I mean, it's not everybody that has jackpot that is so bad. Though. So we should all jackpot. That was on a lighter note. But yes, maybe we should all jackpot if we can't do anything while we are here to change the narrative. Everybody at this time should be thinking of how they can contribute to the problem of Nigeria. It's too bad. It's very bad. If you have been to, I went to last year, no, the year before last, I spent 2 months in a hotel in Cameroon. I was working at a plant belonging to my former organization. And I tell you that even as small as and as backward as Cameroon is, there is a shape that the safety culture is taking. Ghana, I'm not even talking about Ghana because I think they've gone ahead of us already. And yet, Nigeria needs to stand and go and tell those guys what to do. Because that mentality of Nigeria being the giant of Africa, some of them still just have it there by the side. But imagine when your elder brother comes to you and you can see that he needs your help in so many areas. What will he say that you will wholeheartedly sit down and listen to? When he talks, you tell him, oh, that one, okay, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, can we help you? You know, so ladies and gentlemen, let us try our best to overcome our professional hurdles, and please come together, collaborate in groups, collaborate in groups. I'm going to collaborate with every safety consultant organization in Nigeria this year. I have already formed my own. It's not even a safety organization. I call it the Center of Excellence for Innovation and Leadership. That center will collaborate with every organization that does safety in Nigeria. The whole drive, let us change the culture. It is bad. It is so bad. If you can see it, when I go out of this building now, I see people hanging on buses. Conductor is hanging on a bus, and then fires are happening. If you have the fire statistics for Lagos, despite all the efforts that they are making, you will understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes if you check what is causing these things, you will be shocked. So, but who else can do it except us, the safety people? So please, let's get on board and set the pace in 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Julius Akpong, for that very power. Did I get the title right? Oh, Mr. Sorry about that, Mr. Julius Akpong. We like to call him doctor because in safety he's already a doctor, in fact, a professor. Anyways, thank you so much, sir, for that impactful session. We have been schooled as usual, and we've learned to take this setting the pace to the next level. Like we said,